It's been 3 years since we tied the knot and became Mr. and Mrs. Dave and Molly Jacobs, and if you were to ask either of us about our marriage, you'd hear slightly different stories about the state of our union. Molly would say the sex was fantastic, the friendship and love between us was very strong, and she couldn't imagine a better husband. However, in her opinion, the main problem was the lack of money, and unfortunately, she did not see a path to ever having what she really wanted in life. You see, Molly grew up poor. So poor that her family could not even afford the occasional good meal out. So poor that all her clothes were either sewn by her mother or bought at a second-hand store. So poor that she couldn't afford a bicycle when she was young, or afford to go to the movies, participate in after-school clubs, or go out with friends on the weekends. In short, she constantly felt frustrated by her lack of money for personal expenses and was jealous of her classmates who always seemed to get everything they wanted. Molly swore that one day she would have all the good things in life and never have to want for anything. In her senior year of high school, she met me, stable old Dave. I had money, or at least my parents did. We lived in a nice area, we had nice cars, and I was always dressed casually but in quality clothes. But from everything Molly could see, and from my attitude, she could see that I simply didn't care about the money. I assured her that I had not noticed that she was wearing second-hand clothes. I swore to her that I saw in her the most beautiful and elegant girl in school. Looking back, I now realize that she wasn't sure that I would be the guy who could lift her out of poverty, but after a while it didn't seem to matter, as she fell in love with my personality, as strong and handsome she considered me, and what I did to her under the sheets. So despite her concerns about whether we could achieve wealth and one day live the upper-class life she desired, she fell in love with me and accepted my marriage proposal, which I made on one knee on the day of the end of our courses at the local college. Molly received her paralegal certificate, which she hoped would provide her with a sufficient and stable income, and while it wouldn't make her rich, she could at least buy decent clothes, go to clubs and bars, and spend the occasional evenings in a good restaurant. I decided that I would become a physical therapist, studying massage and occupational therapy exercises to help people suffering from muscle pain or recovering from surgery or injury. It would never make me rich, but I liked interacting with people. I liked this job and the feelings it made me feel, helping people get rid of pain and suffering. I also didn't want to work sitting at a desk all day. What could be more boring? I realized that this wouldn't make us rich, and I knew that Molly was very upset that she couldn't live the upper-class life in the suburbs. But I really liked our current life, loved our sex life, and the fact that we had so much fun together no matter what we did. I also knew something Molly didn't know. My grandparents were very rich, and when they died, they left my parents the sum of $15 million, and this amount was in a trust fund that they could use until they died, after which the trust passed to me. My father passed away from a heart attack 2 years ago, and my mother did not feel very well after his death. The last few years had been hard, but she still loved and missed him when he left. My mother had no interest in the trust fund at all, and in fact, both she and I believed that money was a poison to life. My parents had such a strong bond and a loving life together, and then my grandparents died and the money went to my father. It changed him completely, and not for the better. He quit his job, started drinking and partying, bought fast cars and spent huge amounts of money on gambling and other entertainment. I guess he might also be seeing someone, but I never knew for sure, and I never asked my mom about it. His new lifestyle began to destroy their marriage, as well as his body. For 2 years he drank and partied, which led to terrible health conditions, and the final fatal blow was a massive heart attack in a Vegas casino. Both my mom and I had seen how money had ruined his life, and neither of us really wanted anything to do with a life of luxury and temptation. We just wanted to keep our lives as they were when we were a happy family, before Dad gave in to the temptation that unlimited money could bring. After his death, I made it a rule to see my mother at least once every 2 weeks, and tried to interest her in activities outside the home, travel, and charity work. Basically anything to get her out of her depression over her father's death. But she told me to leave it alone. Her life was now about friends, church, and me. And she reminded me that it was money that destroyed my father. I didn't tell Molly about the trust, knowing that she was too interested in money and property, and I didn't want her to start buying things on credit, or start wanting my mother dead, or for her to spend all her time thinking and hoping for riches, the future, and ignoring what we have now in our daily loving lives. Besides, I hope it will be many years before my mother dies, and Molly will have no reason to hope that she will have a lot of money and see her potential greed come into play and change either our relationship, or it will upset her even more about our current relationship. I saw that my mother was lonely and depressed, and I finally understood why when she told me that she had been diagnosed with breast cancer and her future was not guaranteed. But she really downplayed the potential seriousness of it, and I kind of shrugged it off. She didn't tell me that she might not have long to live because she didn't want me constantly catering to her needs when I was just getting my life together with what she called my pretty young wife. In the end, Mom felt that the doctors really couldn't predict or tell her anything specific, and she thought she would probably live many more years. The doctors believed that they had found the cancer through a lumpectomy and radiation, and did not indicate to her that her end was near, although one doctor said that several of her lymph nodes turned out to be cancerous, so she needed to be closely monitored for any changes in health or any lumps that she notices. As we approached our 5th year of marriage, I was completely content and happy with our life. And although Molly loved me very much and was content on a daily basis, and the sex was fantastic as we made love 4 or 5 times a week, I knew she was also yearning for the day that might come sooner when she could feel rich and not worry about money or work, and have some of the things she always craved when she was younger. Molly tried to improve her status at work in an attempt to get a promotion and improve her salary and benefits. She worked for a well-respected and sought-after law firm specializing in family law and divorce, as well as real estate and tax. The firm's founder, Jay Sutter, was a 51-year-old bald and somewhat pudgy man who founded the law firm 25 years ago and built it into the largest billing firm in the region. He worked hard over the years and neglected his personal life, never marrying or having children or offspring to consume his time. Sutter's personal assistant was retiring, so he posted openings internally for various paralegals at the firm so they would have the first shot at that promotion before he looked outside for candidates. Molly was his 3rd and final interview for the position, and she told me how excited she was for the opportunity. "Dave, it will be a 20% increase right away and a chance for a 10% bonus at the end of the year. I know it will be more hours and even some weekend work, but I really can't pass up the opportunity for a raise. Do you mind if I strive for this?" "Of course, Molly. You're free to do whatever works for your career. Nothing lasts forever, and if it doesn't work out, you can always find something else. But if you last a year or two, it will look great on your resume and will become a stepping stone to more." On the day of the interview, Molly dressed in business casual, but left a strong hint of the incredible sexiness and attractiveness that lay just beneath the surface of her business attire. She wore FFM-seamed stockings and sexy high heels and kept crossing and uncrossing her legs during the interview. She left the top 2 buttons of her blouse open so that if she leaned forward to make a point or share a laugh, her ample cleavage could peek out from underneath the blouse, hinting at the magnificent breasts hidden beneath the silken fabric. Jay Sutter didn't miss it. Although he wanted to make sure he had a qualified candidate, he believed that he deserved to be rewarded for his hard work with a young and good-looking assistant who would spend a lot of time with him. Molly had the qualifications, but more than that, when she walked out of the interview and he watched her perfect ass jiggle as she walked in and out the door. It was at that moment that he decided that she was the one. Molly returned home extremely excited, having been told right before leaving the office that she had gotten the job. She was called into Mr. Sutter's office and he told her, "Molly, you did great in your interview and your work here has always been excellent. I would like to offer you a job, but keep in mind that there will be a lot of late evenings and some weekends when you will work very closely with me. Do you think your personal life will allow this without exception?" "Oh, yes, Mr. Sutter. I don't have children, and my husband often works in the evenings too, seeing clients after work for massages and physical therapy. This will be very good for me, and I am so grateful, Mr. Sutter. I won't let you down. Fine. But Molly, call me Jay. We will work closely together, and I prefer an informal and open relationship with my assistant. Feel free to talk to me about anything and everything, and I will do the same. When Molly walked through the door of the house, she called me, told me that she had gotten a job, and in a husky voice asked me to sit on the sofa. She looked at me with incredible excitement and joy at getting the job, and told me that she wanted me to celebrate with her. To this end, she stood in front of me and slowly began to spin and dance a little, taking off her clothes, leaving in front of me only in stockings and high heels. I was fascinated, and I liked it when Molly got into this mood, so I wasn't going to argue. As the weeks went by and Molly became immersed in her work, she told me how incredibly smart and observant her boss Jay was. She told me how he dressed in the fanciest Brooks Brothers suits, how he wore one of 3 different Rolex watches every day, and how his shoes cost more than 10 of her outfits combined. She said he was funny, articulate, and treated her like she was the smartest and most capable personal assistant he had ever had. None of this bothered me because I was confident in our marriage and trusted my wife. Plus, she told me he was a balding and overweight 51-year-old man, so it didn't seem like much of a competition. At least it didn't bother me at first, but after a month, she soon wasn't talking about Jay anymore or talking about work. When I started talking about her day, she would avoid contact, simply nod and say that work was fine, and then quickly change the subject. Molly started work later every evening, and soon she didn't get home until 8 p.m. 3 or 4 days a week. I decided to ask her what was the matter. Molly, what's happening to you? You come home late, take a shower in the evening, even though you had one in the morning, and then practically tear me apart with our lovemaking. You never want to talk about work, but yet you almost always work late and can't tell me what you're doing that's taking up so much of your time. If I didn't know how much you love me, I would think maybe you were having an affair. Davy, don't even say that. You know how much I love you, and I just can't get enough of you. I make sure to take a shower to wash off the sweat and dirt of the workday. I don't really have much to say about the work. I just dictate, type documents and notes, and issue invoices to my boss. He has so many meetings during the day that he is finally able to sit down and start working after most of the other employees have left him alone. Remember, when I got the job, he told me, and I told you, that there would be a lot of late work, and now we both understand exactly what he meant. She sort of looked away and couldn't seem to look me in the eyes as she told me all this, and for the first time I thought it was all wrong. But I decided that this was not the end of the conversation, so I simply interrupted it and decided that I would be more attentive than usual to what was happening. I was usually the first one up and out the door in the morning, given that many of my clients wanted massages or physical therapy before going to work. So most mornings I was up before Molly, showered, and out the door. It was the usual daily routine, but today I had nothing urgent to do, so I was drinking coffee and reading the newspaper when I heard the phone ringing upstairs. It wasn't Molly's usual ringtone, and it certainly wasn't mine. I quietly walked up to the top of the stairs and listened to her conversation as she picked up the phone and said, "Oh, hi, Jay. How's my wonderful boss today?" I couldn't hear the rest of the conversation, but I heard her laughing at what her boss told her. Then I heard her say, "Yes, Jay, I've missed you too, and I can hardly wait to find out what surprise you have in store for me when I get there. Now, honey, let me jump in the shower and get ready for work, and I'll see you soon." Did she say, darling? What the hell does this mean? Who calls their boss darling? And what a surprise her boss had in store for her. And what kind of ringtone did I hear? When I heard the shower turn on, I went upstairs and saw that her purse was lying on the bed, and inside I saw a brand new iPhone, the latest model. These items cost almost $100, and she definitely didn't buy it herself. Plus, it definitely wasn't connected to our Verizon contract, or I would have seen bills for it. I tried to unlock the phone to look at text messages or outgoing and incoming calls, but it was password protected, and none of the obvious passwords like birth date or anniversary date worked. As I was putting the phone back, I also noticed a small jewelry box in her purse, and when I looked inside, I almost fell over. There were 2 earrings with 1-carat diamonds from Cartier, and I could not even imagine how expensive they could be, but I knew for sure that Molly would never be able to afford them. Now I was really confused and starting to get angry. I quickly went downstairs and sat silently in the kitchen, waiting for Molly to get ready and come downstairs. She must have thought I was long gone, and when she came down the stairs, I got another huge surprise. She was dressed too sexy for work, with a low cut that allowed her cleavage and quite a bit of her breasts to be seen when she bent over. She also wore stockings with a seam at the back, and when she bent over slightly to wipe something off the toe of her 4-inch heels, I could see the black lace top of the stockings. She thought I had left, and when she turned around and saw me silently looking at her from the kitchen, she sighed. "Oh God, Davy, you scared me," she said, blushing and quickly trying to hide her legs behind the kitchen island. "What else are you doing here? I thought you already left for work." "It is obvious," I said, as I walked around the island, grabbed her hand, and spun her around in a circle. "Are you going to work, or going to the club looking for some stud?" I said this sarcastically. "How the hell can you think about going to work dressed like that? And by the way, where is this outfit from? Those are $500 shoes, and that dress and stockings are probably $1,000. I also want to know, what the hell is up with a new cell phone and $5,000 worth of your rings in your bag? What the hell? Molly, are you stealing these things? Or are you sleeping with someone?" Molly looked at me and started crying. She quickly turned and went into the living room. "Davy, please let me explain. This is not true at all. My love is only for you, no one else." "So you're telling me that you're sleeping with someone else, but you're not in love with them?" "Davy, no, I didn't say that. Don't put your words in my mouth. I can explain it." "I'm listening, but I'm warning you. If you lie to me, I'm leaving here." "Davy, it's not what you think. I didn't tell you because I knew it would make you angry and you'd think wrong. It's all work-related, bonuses from my boss. He gave me a phone and collected his office phone, so that he can contact me anytime he needs it, and that our calls remain confidential and password protected. The earrings were a gift for working so many hours and being so good at my job. He said he couldn't really change my salary or give me a cash bonus through the company, so he bought me earrings. He also bought me several outfits and said he wanted me to look a certain way at work and asked me to wear it. She looked at me with caution, seeing that I didn't really believe in it. "Oh, please, Davy, you have to believe me. It doesn't mean anything. I'm just trying to do a good job and stay in his good books so I can get a raise and move up in the company. Davy, you know you're the only man who I love. Jay Sutter can't compare in any way." I looked at her with pain, hurt, and tears in my eyes and said, "I think this is the first time you've actually lied to me, Molly. I believe you're sleeping with your boss and he's giving you gifts and luxuries. Things you could never afford as a way to get into your pants. I guess that's why you go straight to the shower after work. And since when do you call your boss honey and tell him you can hardly wait to see him?" Molly blushed and froze, but I interrupted her and said, "Molly, before you tell me any more lies, I heard your phone conversation this morning, so don't even try to lie about it. I'm leaving, and if I come back, you better be honest with me about what's going on." I turned and walked towards the door when Molly ran after me, screaming, "God, no, Davy. It's not what you think. Please come back and let me explain. Please, I only love you. Oh, God, no. Please let me show you." She ran up to me and knelt down, trying to pull down my zipper, saying, "You are my only darling, and I will show you how much I love you." I looked at her with disgust, pushed her hand away and shouted, "Goodbye, Molly." And then he walked out the door. What the hell did she think this would solve? I didn't know where I was going, but I got in the car, and as I drove away, I saw Molly in the rearview mirror, screaming for me to come back, crying and screaming that she loved me. I couldn't handle her right now, and I was pretty sure she was lying to me. I needed time to think. Soon I found myself at my mother's house. She lived only 30 minutes away, and I kind of blamed myself for not visiting her more often. I called her every week but visited her maybe once a month. I justified it by saying that life is busy, absorbed in routine, work, home, affairs, wife. Yes, my wife. Thinking about this brought the Molly issue back to the forefront. I wasn't sure if she was cheating on me, but what kind of boss would hand out thousands of dollars on jewelry, clothes, and a phone if he didn't get something in return? And even if Molly hadn't slept with him yet, his actions were completely inappropriate for any boss-employee relationship. If it hasn't turned into sex yet, this was definitely his intention and how long it would take, especially given Molly's craving for the more expensive and better things in life. I put all these thoughts aside as I pulled up to my mom's house. The house was quiet when I walked in, so I called out, "Mom, are you there?" I walked into the living room and saw my mother lying on the sofa with a bucket on the floor next to her. She turned to me and I saw the pain in her eyes. She looked very pale and sick. She tried to rise to a sitting position, but it was hopeless. There were tears in her eyes as she laid back down on the pillow on the couch and took a shallow breath. "Oh, Davy, you surprised me. I didn't want you to see me like this." "Mom, what happened? Do you have the flu? Have you seen the doctor? What can I get you? Mom, talk to me. What's wrong?" "Davy, just relax. I'm fine. I'm a little embarrassed that I didn't tell you in your calls the last few weeks, but I'm going through chemo again. It's just the aftermath. I get chemo every Monday now, and that's how the days go Tuesday through Thursday. So, no, I'm not sick, except for cancer, of course. It's back, and they're trying to beat it again." "Oh no, hell. What does the doctor say, Mom?" "Well, Davy, he doesn't say much, but if you read between the lines, he's not very optimistic. I'm going to really get him to come clean next week at my appointment because if this chemo doesn't work, I don't want to go through this anymore. If my days are numbered, I want them to be good enough that I can go outside, garden, see friends, not lie on the couch and suffer." "Oh, damn, Mom. I'm so sorry. You have to beat this, Mom. I can't lose you. What can I do to help? When's the next appointment? I'll go with you." "Davy, you have your own life, so don't worry and waste your time on me. You have a beautiful young wife and a career to sort out. I'll be fine. Mom, you are an important part of my life, so being with you and helping you is caring for my own life. Besides, I am not sure about my beautiful young wife that she is really mine. I caught her saying that she has over $10,000 worth of gifts and things she received from her boss recently. She tells me that nothing is going on and that he gives her bonuses and material things as a reward for the good work and late hours she puts in. But I don't believe it. I think she's lying to me, and I need to figure out what's really going on. I left her in anger this morning and came here to see you. No, Davy, I can't believe it. She loves you more than any woman could love a man. I can't believe she could cheat on you. Mom, Molly loves and craves material things. She's always been poor. She grew up poor, and she's always felt resentful and disappointed that she didn't have the good things in life. I think she's fooling herself into thinking that in order to be truly happy, you need to have money and surround yourself with the best clothes, the best jewelry, the best house and car. Well, we know how that ended for Dad. I think she's never felt secure in her life. Maybe it's a matter of self-esteem or anxiety because of the way she had to live growing up. But I'm afraid she loves material things more than anything. Or else, she seems obsessed with the lives of the rich, rather than looking at the wonderful life we built full of fun, friendship, trust, and love. Oh, Davy, what are you going to do? You need to talk to her and find out what's going on before you jump to conclusions or make any big decisions. Plus, Dave, you have a $15 million trust fund waiting for you, and as far as I know, you can start spending all this money right now if you want. I know, Mom, but you don't understand. This is not the life I wanted. And if she's willing to cheat on me and ruin our marriage for gifts, then she's probably not who I thought she was, and I don't want to buy her love for me with a life of wealth that I'm not so interested in. For me, that kind of money only creates more obligations and more stress in life, not less. So what are you going to do, honey? I don't know, Mom, but right now I feel like if she cheated on me with her boss, then the marriage is dead, and it's just a matter of me ending it. If she hasn't, then I'll ask her to quit her job and go to counseling with me to find out if she can be happy with the life we lead. She doesn't know about the trust fund, and I'm definitely not going to tell her about it now. But Mom, enough of that. I'll take care of you this weekend, talk to your doctor, and see if we can't get you back on the path to health. Molly tried calling me all that evening and day, and I wouldn't answer or listen to her voicemails. Finally, my mom convinced me that I should at least let her know where I was and that I was okay, so I agreed and called her. Molly, I see you called me. What do you want? Davy, where are you? I want you. That's what I want. You can't just walk away from me and not let me know you're okay. You have to give me a chance to explain. It's not what you think. Nothing is happening. Please come home so we can discuss this. Molly, I don't know what to believe right now. I don't think I can trust you when you tell me nothing is going on. How can I think otherwise when Sutter gives you over $10,000 worth of gifts and he gets nothing in return? Dave, I love you. You need to trust me. I don't want anyone but you. They're just things, yes. I love them and I want them, but I want to be with you for the rest of my life. I want to have a family with you and grow old with you. But I also want us to be financially secure. So I really think this job will lead us to more. Please come home and talk to me. Molly, I can't understand how you don't see and understand how inappropriate it is for him to give and for you to accept such gifts. If you haven't done anything yet, soon he will expect it, and you will feel that's something I owe him. Davy, that's not true at all. Money means nothing to Jay. He has so much of it. He's just rewarding me for all the hours and hard work. Molly, I really don't know what to think, but I have this feeling in my chest that you're not telling me the whole truth, and it's burning me inside. No, Dave, don't even think like that. Please come back to me and I'll show you that you're the only one for me. Molly, you can't solve this with sex. Anyway, I need to tell you something. My mom's cancer is back and now I'm with her, and I'm going to spend the rest of the week and weekend here taking care of her, and plan to meet with her doctor on Friday to get an idea of the prognosis. So you won't see me until Monday night, and if I'm not back by dinner, I'll at least call you. Oh no, Dave. Oh, it's so unfair that the cancer is back. Do you want me to come and spend the weekend with you? I don't want you to be gone for so long, especially when we're having such difficulties. I can be there in an hour. No, Molly, that's not a good idea until you and I figure out where our relationship is going. Oh my God, Davy, don't even say that. Our relationship is going nowhere. I love you and you love me, and we are made for each other. Stop thinking like that. Nothing is happening. Please don't think like that. I couldn't stand losing you. Molly, I have to go, so I'll see you on Monday. And when we talk, Molly, be honest with me and we'll figure out where we're going. I hung up, feeling like she was saying all the right things, but also not saying anything that really answered the question of why he gives her gifts, why she accepts them, and whether she slept with him. I had this terrible nagging feeling that she had already broken our marriage vows, and she was just trying to figure out how to tell me without losing me. I spent the rest of Wednesday night and most of Thursday taking care of Mom, and she was feeling better by Friday when we went to her doctor. The doctor spent time alone with her, doing an examination and update, and after she finished and left, he invited me into his office and closed the door. Young man, I'm afraid I don't have good news for you. Your mother asked me to speak frankly with you, and I'll tell you the same thing I told her. I don't think she has more than 3 to 5 months to live. Chemotherapy isn't working this time, and we have no other treatment options to offer her. I convinced her to try 3 more rounds of chemo to see if it started working, but after that she told me she would give up the fight and just wants to spend the rest of his life in peace. When we got back to her house that evening, we cried together on the couch, and I told her how much I loved her. I told her about what a wonderful life she had given me and how she was the best mom I could imagine. And I meant it. She has always been my ethical compass, the person I could always rely on to guide me along the right path in life. We hugged each other and reminisced about the good old times of the past, but she quickly got tired and wanted to go to bed. She begged me to remain optimistic and not let the last months of her life turn into pity for her. She felt lucky that she had lived a good life and told me that I was the best thing she had ever done. She rested during the day and felt better in the evening, so I put on a movie for her, settled her on the couch, and told her I was going out for a while but would be back later. I was a mess. My mom was dying and my wife was probably cheating on me. I felt like I wanted to grab a bottle of tequila and drown my sorrows, but I knew that drinking until I passed out wouldn't solve anything. After spending the last few days thinking about the gifts from her boss and the last conversation with Molly, I just couldn't shake the feeling that Molly was cheating on me. Having no better idea how to find out, I decided to drive by our house and see if she was home or not. I arrived around 17 Dows and parked at the end of the street, from where I could see the entrance to the house. Her car was in the driveway, and the inside front door was open, so I knew she was home. I was debating whether to drive up and talk to her now about our problems when a metallic blue Porsche sped past me and pulled into our driveway. As the car passed by, I noticed J's number 1 on the rear license plate. God, what an idiot, I thought. This idiot must have very little dignity and huge problems with self-esteem. As soon as he parked, Molly left the house, locked the door and ran to his car. She was dressed to kill on sight. She was wearing a bright red dress and red high heels. She wore dark gray stockings, and the dress was so short that I could see the black lace top of her stockings. The cutout at the front was so deep that half of her breasts were on display, and with the help of the tight bodice, they were ready to spill out. It definitely wasn't going to work. I crouched down as they passed me and was surprised that Molly didn't recognize my car, but apparently she was amazed that she was sitting in the passenger seat of a $100,000 sports car. I decided to follow them and see where they were going. It didn't take long before they were parked in front of Manny's, the best steakhouse in town. Sutter got out and walked around the car and opened Molly's door, and I could almost see the drool dripping from his mouth as he caught his eye on her breasts as he helped her out of the car. They walked, hugging, to the entrance of the restaurant and disappeared inside. I found a parking spot on the street and grabbed my hat and jacket, then walked up to the restaurant and slowly entered. I saw them in the corner box in the back, sitting together on one side with his hand on her hip as she studied the wine list. I had to stop myself from walking up and dumping a jug of water on their heads, but instead I turned and walked back to my car. I sat in the car for 2 hours, keeping myself busy reading various blogs and articles about divorce on my phone. Finally, I saw the valet drive the Porsche to the entrance, and they both got into the car. I hoped that was the end of their meeting, but my doubts grew as I followed them down the street. They didn't have to wait long, stopping at the Hilton, valet parking again, and Sutter walking around the car to open Molly's door. This time he gave her a long, lingering kiss while grabbing and squeezing her ass as he helped her out of the car. She pressed herself tightly against him, put her hand behind his head, and held him there while they kissed, and I could see their tongues intertwining with each other. This was enough for me to understand that this was the end of our marriage. There was no way to convince me they weren't having sex, and I didn't even need to see it to know it was happening. In fact, I didn't want to see it. I was angry, sad, confused, surprised, and many other emotions as I slowly walked back to my mom's house. I pulled into the driveway and sat there, wondering how to move forward. I knew divorce was the answer, but she worked for the best divorce law firm in the area, so I knew I was going to lose in any divorce. We didn't have much considering the house was small and had little equity. We had limited savings. I made more than she did, but not by much, so I assumed that child support, if any, would be low. But one glaring question was if she and her lawyers found out about the $15 million trust, which would certainly happen if, God forbid, my mom died before the divorce was finalized. I decided right now it's not a problem. It belonged entirely to my mother, and until she died, it would not be legally recognized as an asset of mine. But the doctor was not optimistic in my personal conversation with him that she had more than 3 months to live, and divorce usually takes at least 6 months, and even longer if the spouse is fighting and requires counseling, disputes the division of assets, and God knows what other absurd reasons can be invented. I was determined not to give a penny of this money to Molly, so I needed a plan. I could have disappeared, take the money and run, but I wasn't going to leave my mom, and I definitely didn't want to be in trouble before the court and go into hiding, hoping they wouldn't find me. I could have stayed in the marriage, ignored Molly, and started dating on the side, creating an open marriage. That's not my style, and it definitely wouldn't suit my mom's moral principles. I could have killed her and Jay Sutter, but I knew they weren't worth me ruining the rest of my life. And murder was not in my DNA. An idea for a plan began to form in my mind, and although I knew it was a long road, if I played my part correctly, perhaps I could make it work. I'll have to suppress my hatred and desire for revenge against Molly and Sutter, but if I play the long game, eventually they'll get what they deserve. I got home Monday night, and as soon as I got out of the car, Molly opened the door and ran out to hug me. She tried to kiss me, but I pushed her away and said we needed to talk. The look on her face changed from shock to horror at the thought of, we need to talk. We entered the living room. She sat down on the sofa and patted next to her, but I sat down in the chair opposite, which again caused her to look fearful and desperate. Davy, I miss you so much. You can't just leave like this. I need you. I love you so much, and I feel so bad that you misunderstood me. I love you. You came home to stay, and we can forget about this suspicion and the anger you feel. I looked at her with contempt, which again caused her shock and fear. Molly, stop lying, and let's talk honestly. I know about your whole Friday night with Sutter. I saw you at the restaurant, and you were dressed to seduce. You never dressed like that for me, but maybe that's because I don't have a Porsche with stupid license plates. Molly tried to say something, but I interrupted her. Shh, Molly, I'm not done yet. I saw you in the restaurant, in the box, with his hand on your thigh, and you were almost sitting on his lap. Then I followed, pick you up at the Hilton, and I saw you exchange kisses and caresses before going in and spending the night having sex. So let's stop lying and start the process of ending our marriage. Oh, Davy, no, please, God, no. I don't love him. I only love you. There's no way we're going to end our marriage. I need you. Then why are you sleeping with him? Why are you disrespecting me so much by cheating on me when you say you love me? Tell me why the hell. Molly cringed and realized that her only chance was the truth. Okay. I'm just a gold digger, that's why. I don't want to be like that, I don't want this, but I just can't handle it. When Jay started tempting me with diamonds, iPhones, fancy dresses, and shoes, I just couldn't resist. And all those fancy lunches and dinners in restaurants we could only dream of, and bills equal to a week's salary. Hell yeah. I slept with him because I wanted him to keep showering me with gifts, money, and clothes, and he swore that he would bring my salary to the very top as far as possible. But Davy, please believe me, I don't love him and never will. I love you and only you. Yes, I want the things he can give me, but when I kiss him, I almost feel sick. And when he touches me, I can barely stand it. It's just a deal, a quickie, and we're done. He can never compare to the way you make me feel, and I don't love him. But God help me, I do gifts and a feeling of wealth when I'm with him. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry, and I didn't mean to lie to you, but I just fell under the influence of all this wealth, and I didn't want to give it up. Oh, I know I sound terrible, just sleeping with him for gifts and the riches he can give me. But that's what happened, and now that you know it, I feel better about my guilt and anxiety at being caught. Well, Molly, you're definitely screwed, so now what do you think will happen? Are you ready to quit your job, go to counseling, and give up your greed to see if we have any chance of reconciliation? God, Davy, please don't ask for this. I don't want to lose you, but I don't want to give up the golden hen. Can you let me do this and just consider it part of my job? You know, when I come home after his pathetic sex, I need a real man so much that I attack you and let you do whatever you want to me. Can't I make up for it by letting you do whatever you want to me when we're together? Oh God, I know it sounds pathetic, but if you could find the strength to allow me to do this, I will definitely compensate you. What nonsense, Molly. How can you ask me to do this? Do you want me to become a cuckold so you can enjoy the wealth and I get the secondary sensations? Davy, no, you don't get secondary sensations. When I sleep with him, it means nothing. I don't feel anything, and I don't feel love or excitement being with him. Those are purely material things he can give me, and love, and friendship, and a partner in my life, will always only be you. So, Molly, are you proposing an open marriage? You sleep with him, I find other people for sex and pleasure, but we stay married and get together at night like nothing has changed? No, Davy. I couldn't bear the thought of you with another woman. I couldn't bear the thought of you being with her and possibly having better sex than with me. Or are you comparing her to me? Or, worst of all, you fall in love with someone else. I know it's hypocritical, and maybe it makes me seem pretty shallow, but I don't want an open marriage. I just want to enjoy what it gives me. Pay for it with pathetic, insignificant sex, and stay with you. At some point, this will end, and I will only be yours again. Molly, you really ruined our marriage by having sex with him. How the hell do you expect me to accept this? How pathetic do you think I must be to ever consider playing the role of a cuckold? I'm so angry at you right now that I can't even be here. But we'll definitely talk about this more. I'm going to go back and stay with my mom for a few days, and I'll be back on Wednesday to discuss this further. By the way, at least you're using condoms. Molly didn't answer this question, but just looked at me with despair in her eyes. This moment became the point of no return for our conversation. I left the house, leaving Molly confused and desperati, struggling with the idea that her actions could have permanent consequences on our marriage. Returning to my mom, I spent time trying to gather my thoughts and determine the best course of action for not only my relationship with Molly, but also for supporting my mom in her battle with cancer. This period of my life was a challenge that required me to find inner resources of strength and determination that I was previously unaware of. Maybe I'll see you on Wednesday, Molly. I pulled open the door on the way out, and Molly began to sob, looking after me. Wait, Davy. Please, can you make love to me now and let me show you how much I want just you? I miss you so much. Molly, we need to sort out our relationship before we mess it up even more by having sex right now. God, it seems like you've completely lost touch with reality. And I'm so angry right now that I don't even want to touch you, let alone about sex. With that, I slammed the door as I walked out, knowing that the first seed of my plan had been sown, and we'd see if I could see it through on Wednesday. If not, then I will never have sex with her again, and will simply begin divorce proceedings. I was disgusted by her behavior, and now I hate her. Hated lies, betrayal, and I had no respect left for her, seeing that the only thing that really matters in her life is greed and passion for material things. I seriously considered going to Sutter and beating him to a pulp, then taking Molly to counseling and forcing him to quit his job. But why? She has already lost my love and respect, and in my opinion, we do not have any relationship worth saving. So at this stage, it all comes down to a plan to get rid of her from your life as painlessly and inexpensively as possible. I had done enough research on divorce online to know that it would be expensive and leave me in a financial bind. I also assumed that she would contest and drag out any divorce, and it seemed unlikely that I would be able to divorce her before my mother died, and the $15 million trust fund was transferred to me as an asset. In my research, I have noticed that sometimes uncontested amicable divorces are sometimes resolved in 3 months, especially when the same attorney represents both parties and the division is agreed upon and amicable. This opportunity was key to my plan. I spent the next few days filling a few massage appointments to keep the cash flowing, but mostly spending time with and caring for my mom. We looked through my mom's photo albums, laughed at some memories, and cried at others. But we were together. And I remembered to tell her over and over again how much I loved and appreciated her, how she raised me, and how wonderful my formative years were. Years. Wednesday arrived faster than I thought, and I headed to my house to talk to Molly again. When I entered, she was wrapped in a robe, but I saw that she was wearing stockings and high heels. I thought she had just gotten home from work, so I asked if she was comfortable now, and she replied, "When I can be with you, it's always a convenient time for me, Dave. I really miss you, and I don't really care. I like the way our relationship is going. We need to fix this." Well, Molly, you tell me. How would you fix this? Davy, you'd come back here and make love to me 4 or 5 times a week like you used to. You'd treat me just like you did before you found out about Jay Sutter, and I'd treat you like my king, and would do anything to make you happy. Yes, Molly, but what about the real problem? What about you and Sutter? Oh, Davy, if you could just forget about this. Just let me have this part of my life. Enjoy all the riches we can't afford, and then I'll come home to you like I always do, and love you passionately, enjoy our laughter and conversations, and just be together as the soul partners we've been so far. Do you love me enough to just let me continue like this? Please, darling. I'll really do better. Internally, it repulsed me. Who is this woman, and what did she do to my wife? But, playing the long game, I said, Molly, please listen to me carefully and listen. That's how I see it. We're a little different. You want to enjoy all the riches, the gifts, the dinners, the clothes, all the fine material things in life, which you can get from Sutter. But for this, you have to sleep with him, and to do this while you and I are still married makes me a cuckold, and I will not be able to put up with it. So I cannot agree with what you want. That leaves only a few options. We could have an open marriage, and I could find lots of hot women to have sex with, but we could stay married and still spend time together, both in and out of bed. No, Davy, I can't agree to this. I just can't let you be with another woman. Okay, then that leaves a divorce. Oh, God, no, Dave, I will never divorce you. I will never let you go. Please, honey, don't even mention it. Well, Molly, if we file for divorce on grounds of infidelity and fight, we'll lose all our savings. We'll spend thousands on lawyers. At least I will. Maybe you can use Sutter. I'll be penniless, without a home. And you and I will no doubt ruin whatever relationship we have left by dragging each other through the mud of a messy, high-conflict divorce. Then please, Davy, don't even start. This is not a good plan. You need to be in my life. Well, Molly, then please listen to me. You want the things in life that Sutter can give you. I assume Sutter has been telling you about leaving me and marrying him? At these words, Molly looked away and whispered, Yes, dear, but I would never. Just hear me out. I'm guessing you were at his house and probably had sex with him a few times, right? Molly looked down again and sobbed a little, saying, Yes, honey. Please forgive me. I'm so sorry. Molly, listen. I'm guessing his house is amazing. If you married him, imagine the wealth you'd have. Basically, everything you'd want. Awesome house, remodeled to your liking, incredible car, vacations, at beach resorts and big cities that you can only dream of. Staying in the best resorts and hotels, wearing the best clothes, the best jewelry, dining at the most exclusive restaurants, and partying at the most expensive and exclusive clubs. That sounds exactly like life. Oh, what you dreamed of and what you want, and you could have it all. But Davy, I will never leave you. I need you. I told you, he pleases me with gifts, but our love life is pathetic, and we don't really have a connection like you and I. I can't give up on you. I shuddered inside, wondering how Molly could not understand that I now felt no connection to her. Just contempt for how she could give up what we had for a few measly dollars and trinkets. It made me realize how we were never really right for each other and what a mistake it would be to spend any more time on this marriage. Molly, I said, using the most convincing salesman voice I could muster, you don't have to go without me, and I don't have to go without you. You and I could have a secret affair, we could date and share our love and company. I would cuckold him just like he is doing to me now, since he thought it was okay to have an affair with my wife. I think it is only fair that you and I have a long-term affair that he should not know about. You'll get the best of both worlds. You can spend time with me, and we can have exciting and wild sex, and you can get all the riches you want from it. I saw her contemplating it, and it made me lose even more respect for her, if that was even possible at this point. But how can I leave to see you and be with you? I work for him and will spend all my time with him at night. Now that I think about it, it sounds pretty terrible. No, Davy, I can't do this. Molly, after you get married, tell him you don't want to work for him anymore. Tell him you're an equal partner in the marriage now and don't want to ruin it with a work relationship. Tell him you're going to stay home, maybe go study, work on yourself. Then all I have to do is book all my clients for the evening, and you and I will have every weekday to have fun and spend time together all day. That's how you can have two things: what you want, his material possessions and life of luxury, and me as your best friend and lover when you need it. I saw the wheels turning and knew that I had planted a seed that I hoped would grow. Now I needed to lay out the details. Of course, Molly, the only way this will work is if you and I have an amicable, no-fault divorce where we just split the money we saved. I'll keep the house so I can have a place to live and a place for you to come and make love to me, and we'll save all our money by letting Sutter be the lawyer for both of us. But he's kind of a shark, so you'll have to convince him to just let us approve a friendly divorce real quick and quietly without trying to find every penny we have and get as much as possible for you. It will be really important that we can get a divorce quickly because in the process, he will expect us to live separately and you will still work for him and we won't really be able to start our romance until you are married and you won't work anymore. But I think Sutter, with his connections to the judges, could do all this in 3 months or less. Davy, I don't know. I don't really want to get a divorce, although I do want his lifestyle. But God, I really don't want him. I'm not sure I can handle living with him and being his wife. Can't you just let me have him on the side and keep things the way they are for now? He means nothing to me, and it will never take anything away from us. I'm sorry, Molly, but we've been through this before. You don't want an open relationship, which is the only way to stay married. I refuse to be a cuckold and let him sleep with my wife while I stay at home. What's left is divorce, and we can do it the hard way, where we fight each other, lose everything we have, become bitter enemies, and never see each other again. Or we can do it the way I just laid out, where you and I are still together through an exciting and secret long-term romance, and you live the life of luxury you want, at Sutter's expense. I could see that Molly was struggling and needed time to process it all. I knew she needed incentive, and although I hated the thought of making love to her, I had to play the role and maintain this fiction until she chose either divorce number 1 or divorce number 2. I walked over to Molly and said, I know you have a lot to think about, baby, so let's put that idea aside for now and just enjoy what we could have if you choose divorce the 2. It allows us to keep making love. And I think we both need to remember now how fantastic it is. With these words, I untied her robe, and she was wearing only stockings and high heels. It looked like she was going to try to seduce me into cuckolding, but I had already made it pretty clear to her the only way that would keep us together. 2 hours later, we were both lying on the couch, completely satisfied. Molly, I need to go back and take care of my mom. She's not feeling well. Think about everything we talked about and let me know how you want to move forward. Can you decide by tomorrow night? I didn't want to give her too much time to think and thought that once I got her to agree to divorce method number 2, I could keep pushing the matter forward and get it over with as quickly as possible. Davy, I don't know, but please come back tomorrow night so we can repeat what we just experienced. I need you in my life and between my legs, baby. That was incredible. Molly, we now have a potential plan for how this could happen, and in my opinion, this is the only way. I'll be back tomorrow evening, and if we can agree on this plan, I'll be happy to do it. As I drove back to my mom, I felt a little guilty knowing that I was manipulating Molly into planning so that she wouldn't get my money, which would ultimately lead to the end of any relationship with us. But she had made her choice and didn't want to give up wealth or what she considered a good life, so I reasoned that she would get exactly what she deserved. Mom's condition had remained stable for the past week or two, and she agreed to take a few more weeks of chemotherapy to see if any positive effects could be seen. She liked having me around, and I tried to keep our conversations light and positive and not focus on her health. I took her for rides, and we went to some of the parks that she loved to take me to when I was a kid. We would sit on a park bench and watch the kids climb and wrestle and play while Mom fell into a relaxing subconscious stupor, reliving the days when I was little, playing on the swings and slides. Mom asked me to leave Molly some money. I don't think she realized it, even though Molly was cheating. In a normal divorce, she would receive half of all our property. But I didn't go into all that and told her that I would agree to whatever she wanted to do. We agreed that she could keep her $10,000 and be invited to the probate hearing with Mom's lawyer when the time came. The next evening I visited Molly and asked her if she had come to a decision. She chuckled and hesitated before saying that she just wanted things to stay the way they were now. I stood up and started grabbing my coat and keys and said, "Well, Molly, this doesn't suit me, so I guess I'll get myself a lawyer and start divorce proceedings. I will have my lawyer contact Sutter, as I assume you will be using him." "God, no, Dave. What are you saying? Will this really be for you and me?" "No, baby, I can't let that happen. Molly, we've been through it all, and there's only one way forward. So please decide what you want to do." "Okay, damn it, Dave. If this is the only way to keep you and enjoy what Sutter gives me, then I think this would be scammed up too. I don't like it, and you better make up for it more often and several times, if you know what I mean." With these words, I picked her up, carried her into the bedroom, laid her down, and took off all her clothes. "Oh my God, Davy. That was incredible. It might have been the best sex you and I have ever had. Can you spend the night?" "Yes, Molly. I will spend the night with you, and tomorrow morning we can make sweet love again." We were both relaxed and hugging when I said, "Molly, I've been thinking about how to get Sutter to represent us both and get a quick, amicable divorce. I was also thinking about how you approach the idea of leaving me. I thought maybe we needed to sell him something, setting you up and him helping us make it. What's on your mind, Dave?" "I need to somehow get a video of you two together so I can use it to convince him to represent us both. I could set up a hidden camera here in our bedroom, and you could lure him here for a quickie when he will come get you on a date. Then a few days later, you will tell him that I know everything about you two. You will tell him that I suspected and installed a camera in the bedroom. Tell him that I suggested that you quit and we went to counseling, but you said no. You choose him. After that, I could approach him with the video and convince him that I would make it public if he doesn't help us get a quick and free divorce. Oh no, Davy, I don't want you to see him with me. Won't it break your heart?" "Molly, yes, it will be difficult, but I am trying to save our relationship with the plan of becoming your lover after you marry him, and I think this will help us achieve this. I will buy a camera and install it in our bedroom, and all you have to do is lure him here, give him fast sex, and then I can use that to forcefully ask him to represent both of us and quickly approve a no-fault divorce." We ended our conversation with another steamy sex session, and although I still felt some guilt over the manipulations I had used against Molly, I decided that she was the one who had ruined my love, our marriage, and she needed to learn a lesson, life that deserves. It was really difficult for me to be intimate with her at this stage, knowing that she was also sleeping with Sutter, but I dealt with it by having purely wild, animalistic sex with her. There were no more love affairs. There were no more eye contacts or declarations of love. There was no more tender, slow, long, and sensual sex. It was strictly a race to have fun and move on. I continued to return to my mom's house almost every evening, hoping to comfort and spend time with her, but it was definitely a level of avoidance of spending more time with Molly than necessary. She didn't talk to me about Sutter or her work anymore, and I felt that she was ashamed of her affair and her position, but not so much as to give up the wealth that she valued so highly. By the following Friday, I set up a camera in our master bedroom and laid out a plan for Molly. She should have told Sutter that I was working late and would be spending the weekend with my mom, and that Sutter should pick her up on Friday night for a nice evening of dinner and dancing. I asked her to dress her best, with a short skirt, seamed stockings, and a blouse that would show a lot of cleavage. I was parked at the end of the street when this smug guy in his Porsche with stupid personalized license plates drove by and pulled into the driveway. Molly brought him into the house, and they were inside for about 40 minutes before they came back out, so I was pretty sure they did it. As they drove off into the night in his car, I went into the house and removed the memory cards from the camera, downloaded the contents onto my computer, erased the contents, and put the camera away. As I reviewed and edited the footage, I saw why Molly was so wild after it. Well, that's what she signed up for, and it was now clear to me that it was all about the gold. I definitely didn't give their marriage much chance of success and wasn't sure whether Sutter would protect himself with a prenuptial agreement or not. To be honest, I didn't care. Knowing Molly's sexual appetite, she couldn't stand him as her only sexual partner for long. Of course, she was counting on me. The next morning, I went to Molly and told her it was time to put the plan into action. Molly, you need to call him, tell him that I suspected and installed sound and video in our room and caught you having sex in our master bedroom. Then tell him that I asked you to go to counseling. But in your opinion, the marriage is over because you love him and want to be with him. Just leave it like that, and then I'll take over. Oh, Davy, I just don't know about all this. Can't we just forget about this whole divorce plan and keep doing what we've been doing? You know I'll give you so much pleasure every night and we can still meet and spend time together. So, I will receive a few gifts from Sutter. I just consider it a bonus for the work I do for him. Molly, you get these things because you sleep with him, and there is no way I can let this arrogant, rich asshole cuckold me and sleep with my wife. We've been through this over and over again, and this is the only way, unless you want me to leave and disappear from your life forever. No, no, no. I definitely don't want this. I just wish you would let me have it all. If you really loved me, you'd just let it go on until I got tired of it. Molly, I could tell that if you really loved me, you would never have done this. It's too late for all this talk. Do you want to continue, or are we breaking up here? God, Davy, you're so stubborn. I don't like it. But if this is the only way left for us, then I guess I should do it. I'll talk to Jay today about getting a divorce and him and me being a couple, just like you said. I called Molly later that evening from my mom's house to ask how it went. Dave, he just panicked. He was so afraid that you would come after him. He is also absolutely terrified of the idea of this video going public. It would ruin his reputation and affect his practice if people found out that he seduced his personal assistant and destroyed his marriage in the process. Yeah, Molly, and imagine if I went to the American Bar Association. I mean, maybe he'd lose his license to practice, at least for a while. Oh God, don't do this. Then the riches will stop coming. I thought to myself that it was typical that her first concern was money. But I didn't say that. Instead, I told her, Molly, I'm going to contact him and get things straightened out about the divorce. I think to sell this whole thing, you should tell him that I've moved in with my mom while all this is going on. Won't work out. Plus, she's now off chemo and getting weaker and weaker, and I really need to spend as much time with her as possible. I'll see you when I can, probably not until the weekend. I arranged a meeting with Sutter as a potential client under a false name and warned Molly not to be in the office at 4:30 p.m. on the day I planned to meet him. She agreed, and someone else let me into his office and announced to him that Mr. Jones had come to see him. He stood up smiling, and I had to do my best not to break his front teeth or hit him in the groin. It would have been fun to just barge in on him, and I couldn't imagine an easier target to beat up, but I had to stick to the plan. I ignored his hand as he held it out for a handshake and said, Mr. Sutter, thank you for meeting me. First of all, my real name is Dave Jacobs, and my wife is Molly Jacobs, your personal assistant who you slept with. I put a lot of anger and threat into my initial words, and he looked startled and then scared. He quickly retreated behind his desk. Now, Mr. Jacobs, don't even think about getting physical or you'll end up in jail and it'll cost you a lot of time and money to get out. Look, I'm sorry about what happened. I didn't mean to fall in love with Molly and have her fall in love with me. But it happened, and we just couldn't keep ourselves away from each other once we realized that we were true soul partners. You probably don't want to hear this. And I know you'd like to punch me in the face right now, but again, that would be a big mistake. Why the hell are you here? Sutter, you know that Molly chose you over me and refused to work on our marriage. So, I guess you win. However, I'm not going to just fall on my sword unless you help me. With that, I handed him the USB drive and said, you can watch this on your own time, but it basically shows you and Molly having sex in my house and in my master bedroom. Sutter, there are two ways we can move forward. The worst-case scenario is if I fight Molly over the divorce, I get a lawyer and she hires you or someone on your staff, and it becomes a protracted fight. I will send this video to newspapers, social networking sites, the Bar Association, your parents and friends, in short, anyone I can think of, in an attempt to destroy you. Now, Jacobs, wait. This will hurt Molly too. Do you really want to do this to the woman you love? Besides, how will you feel knowing that everyone knows that your wife cheated on you? There must be another idea in your head, so let's get to it. Yes, Sutter, I have. I know I lost Molly to you. So, I basically want to end this marriage quickly and move on. But I don't want to lose everything in the process. And I want Molly to be okay when all this is over. You don't have to worry about Molly, Jacobs. I'm going to take very good care of her. And yes, I want your marriage to end quickly, too, so Molly and I can move on together. Well then, my proposal to you, Sutter, is this. You represent both Molly and I in a no-fault, no-contest divorce. We can split our savings, which are effectively zero, but I'm keeping the house, which again has virtually zero capital, maybe $10,000 at best on the market. Who knows? Maybe it's even collateralized at this point. Anyway, just take the asset list from me. Make it up as a halving split. Split us less than in 3 months, and it won't cost me or Molly anything. If you agree, then we won't have to get involved in all the ugly battles and dirty games that will happen if my conditions are not met. So, Jacobs, is that it? I'm introducing you both, without payment, to split everything except the house in half, and you're ready? Yes. But don't forget, time is running out. I want to leave the state and start a new life in less than 3 months. You, too, will probably be happier knowing that I won't be here to stop you and Molly from starting a new life. I'm guessing you have a few judges who are favorable to you, and if you ask, and they know it's a frivolous divorce, they'll expedite its filing and completion. Yes, Jacobs, I can do that. Okay, let me confirm this with Molly, but if she's on the same page as you, we have a deal. Just send me a list of assets, and I'll get to work on the paperwork immediately. I'll give you the papers next week. You just sign and return them to me, and we'll get moving. I stood up, trying not to smile, and with a look of disgust, turned and walked towards the office door, saying, I won't pretend to shake your hand, because my instinct would be to break your wrist. I'm counting on you to make that happen, so we can both move on. When I got home, I sent Sutter a list of assets and then updated Molly on where we were. She looked exhausted, and when she finally spoke, I felt a flicker of guilt. But again I reminded myself that this was the bed she had made, and now she would have to lie in it. Dave, I'm so confused about this whole plan. I know that now Sutter will want me to stay at his place and will pressure me to spend more and more time together as a couple. I'm not sure I can deal with it. I really didn't want her to live with Sutter full-time if I still had to be her sexual partner for 3 months. So I suggested, Molly, why don't you tell Sutter that you don't feel right living as a couple until you get divorced and until you and Sutter get married. Tell him I moved in with my mom, which is not a lie, by the way. So tell Sutter you'll be home alone and you can still date secretly, but you don't want the office or the public to know about it until our divorce is officially finalized. When I returned to my mother's house, she was sitting on the sofa watching TV. She said she felt weak but actually felt better without chemotherapy. She insisted on talking about the funeral, what songs she wanted to be sung, who should be there, who should read from the scriptures, and what I thought I would say in my farewell address. I had to leave the room before the tears started falling. Life can be so unfair. Molly was quite demanding over the next few months about me coming home and satisfying her sexual needs. Each time I visited, there was more and more obvious evidence of the gifts she had received from Sutter. Exquisite underwear, jewelry, expensive high-heeled shoes, even a mink coat. The last time I stopped by, she had a luxury Volvo SUV parked in her yard, which she said was her company car. To be honest, I was outraged, but didn't want to discuss anything that would rock the boat. I came solely to fulfill my role. At this stage, I began to treat her very rudely during our sexual encounters. Perhaps my disappointment showed in our sex. I was served with divorce papers at home, and it caused a burst of tears and second thoughts for Molly. But we weathered the storm and kept moving forward. The months ticked by slowly, and for me, the only real emotion left was depression and pain due to my mother's deteriorating health. I was so tired of Molly that I spent as little time as possible in our house, telling her that I needed to spend every day with my mom. Finally, the day came when Sutter sent me an email with the divorce document attached. He informed me that everything was final. We are officially divorced and I need to move on and stay away from Molly. He told Molly the same thing, and she left the office that day, feigning illness, and rushed home to make love to me. But I left. She called, and I didn't pick up. I was ready, and now all that was left was to somehow let her know that the relationship was over. I made an appointment with her for Saturday morning, but it was the beginning of the worst day of my life. My mom passed out at the kitchen table this morning, and I couldn't wake her up. I called an ambulance, and the ambulance took her away, and I followed them to the hospital. I texted Molly about what had happened and canceled our morning date, telling her I'd contact her later. Mom died that night in the hospital. She never regained consciousness and quietly left her body in the middle of the night. I held her hand as she took her last breath. I returned to my mother's house and cried in my sleep, and the next day I forced myself to organize all the funeral details that my mother had so insistently talked about. The funeral took place 4 days later, and my eulogy spoke of the love my mother had shown me and the priceless pearls of wisdom she had given me throughout my life. The church was her stronghold of peace, hope, and grace. And I told the pastor that in the near future the church would receive a very large donation at the behest of my mother. I texted Molly about my mom's funeral and asked her not to come. I continued to ignore her calls, but I knew I was only postponing the inevitable confrontation. Finally, I had the perfect opportunity to wrap things up when my mom's lawyer called me to set up an appointment to have the will read and executed. The lawyer also asked for Molly's number since her mom left her a cash gift of $10,000. I called Molly and told her about my mom's passing and the funeral. Molly said that she was now engaged and that after Mom died, she wanted to hug and comfort me and show me her support. She also said it was time to start our romancing and start dating regularly, so she could get comfort and love from me on the side, while she received material things from Sutter. I told her about the reading of the will and asked her to come to the lawyer's office the next day at 10 in the morning so that we could hear and carry out my mother's will. She agreed, but was confused as to why she needed to be there. I told her that my mother left her a gift, and the administrator of the estate wanted to carry out my mother's wishes. An estate administrator? I thought your mom only had a house and a little social security, so it probably wouldn't be much, but what a wonderful blessing she would have to think of me. I wasn't a very good daughter-in-law, and especially avoided her after I cheated on you with Sutter. I feel guilty about that and everything else, but now we can put it all behind us and start our love life over again. See you tomorrow at 10, Molly, I said, ending the conversation abruptly. My pain, anger, and disgust were rising to the surface, but I knew that I was now reaching the end and would soon begin my new life. At the will reading, Molly and I were ushered into a rather luxurious conference room at the law firm of Jenkins and Mallory. We sat on opposite sides of the large conference table as Jenkins Sr. opened the will and began. He looked at Molly and said, "Molly Jacobs, your former mother-in-law has left you the sum of $10,000, which will be paid to you today with no other conditions. She asked me to pass on one piece of wisdom to you, and that is that a good life. It's not really about money, so take a close look at what you have that is truly important, and don't be fooled by items that are just fleeting beauty." Molly cringed at the thinly disguised rebuke from her late mother-in-law through her lawyer, but she controlled herself. With that, Jenkins handed her the check, asked her to use the money wisely, and then turned to me. "David Jacobs, your mother left the following instructions for the remainder of her estate. A house valued at $500,000 and without a mortgage is being given to you to do with as you please. The sum of $1 million has been donated to the Church of Christ at their discretion. The amount of $4 million was donated to the American Breast Cancer Society to help research and eliminate breast cancer. And the sum of $9.5 million, the remainder of her estate, is being transferred to you, her sole heir, and will be transferred this week to any account you specify. I am so sorry for your loss." With these words, he stood up and left the room, leaving Molly and me alone. When I looked at Molly, her jaw was loose and she was breathing heavily. I think she was in shock, and finally, when it dawned on her what was happening, she looked at me with an angry, hurt, and puzzled look. What the hell, Dave? Was your mom rich? You were supposed to know your mom was rich? Really? Oh yes, Molly. I knew that after my grandparents died 10 years ago, I would end up getting a big trust fund from them. My mom barely touched that money for herself. Dave, this is great. Now we're rich and I can ditch this boring, disgusting Sutter and we can get back together. Molly, how can you be so ignorant? You and I are done. The first time you broke our marriage vows and slept with Sutter for some jewelry and dresses and fancy dinners, you died to me. You are nothing more than a gold digger, and frankly, your behavior disgusts me. I arranged a quick divorce so that your greedy hands could not reach the money that I was supposed to inherit, and I knew from the first time I saw you and Sutters together, you and I were done, and it was only a matter of time before I could kick you out of my life. Molly recoiled from my outburst of anger and pain as tears welled up in her eyes, and I looked at her in disgust. I kept yelling at her. Now on the rise, fueled by my pent-up anger over her cheating, my mom's death, and how cruel life can be. You sold the love I had for you cheaply to a rich, desperate, lonely guy who you don't even respect or love. You claim to love me, but look deeper, and you will realize that you only love yourself, and you are really only interested in trying to be rich. There is no way I would allow you to have access to this money after I saw your true personality. You and I are done, and my plan is to walk out of this office and never again see you. Damn you, Dave! How could you? You set me up. Why didn't you help me? Yes, I have a need for money and things. You know how I grew up. We had nothing. We were not respected. With us, treated like dirt. It was drilled into me from an early age and throughout my life that you are only worthy of respect if you have money. But I love you, Dave, I really do. You should have shown me our possible future. That's bullshit, Molly. Oh yes, I think I understand. You probably believe that only money deserves respect. But I respected you for who you were, or who I thought you were. I loved you for who you were, and showed it to you every day. We had something wonderful until you got tired of our middle-class life and wanted more. You still don't understand. You sold our love, our friendship, and every opportunity to live together for a measly few riches. When you get married and live with Sutter, having all the things you want, but realize that you have no spark or happiness in your life. Maybe then you will see that material possessions are the most insignificant things in life. You have sold yourself for things that will bring you little comfort. I am completely disgusted with you and can never share my love with you again. Maybe all is not lost for you. Quit Sutter, quit your job, go out on your own, and try to find something that makes you happy. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to California to start a new life and see if I can't eventually find someone who only wants me, not caring about a life of money and jewelry, but based on a life of love, respect, and friendship. I wish you luck and will try to remember you as the beautiful young wife I loved before your greed destroyed us. Molly cowered in her chair, listening to me with a shocked and pained expression on her face, and then burst into tears and lowered her head onto the table, sobbing. Oh God, what have I done? I felt terrible, but it was over, and I needed to leave before I said more, so I stood up and in a quiet voice told her, I'm sorry, Molly, but there is no way forward between us. Good luck and goodbye. I turned and practically ran out of the room and went down to my car. I drove back to my mom's house and did the last step of my plan. I sent the video of Sutter having sex with Molly to the American Bar Association with a cover letter explaining what he did. I then sent the same letter and video to several of his employees I had contacted about the divorce and to the National Enquirer, asking them to investigate a story about a divorce lawyer who ruined a marriage by seducing his personal assistant, then processed a quick self-service divorce without payment, to get rid of her husband so he can marry her. Yes, I lied to Sutter about our deal. I decided that the hell he had seduced my wife with money and power. He deserved some retribution for his actions. I was sad that this would probably also destroy Molly even more, perhaps even end her chances of marrying Sutter. But I had been deceived by both, and my pain required some retribution before I could move on. I hope this was the last time I had to think about Jay Sutter. Dave Jacobs sold both houses, packed up a few things that were important to him, and moved west to San Diego to start a new life. He opened his own massage and physiotherapy office, along with a Pilates and yoga studio, equipped with the latest innovations in the treatment of physical ailments and rehabilitation. About 2 years after he settled down, he began dating a contract Pilates teacher who had the body of a goddess and the personality of a saint. Their relationship blossomed into complete love and devotion, and they decided to get married and share their love forever. Over the next few years, they had a boy and a girl and spent as much time as possible together as a family, enjoying the simple pleasures of life, surfing, biking, hiking, camping, and expressing love and respect for each other. Dave never knew how fantastic true love could be until he had a family to care for. Jay Sutter did not lose his license, but he did lose several employees and a lot of respect and friendship among his colleagues and other contacts. He became something of a joke. The National Enquirer did write a story about him, and he went through a lot of embarrassment and discomfort for several months until it subsided. But the story kept popping up when someone searched for information about him or his firm on the internet. His law practice and his bookings suffered greatly due to the fallout, and his firm was no longer among the top 25 firms in the region 2 years afterward. Molly and Sutter got married, but Jay was smart enough to get Molly to sign a prenuptial agreement before the wedding, which stated that if either party engaged in infidelity, the marriage would be dissolved, and each would be left with whatever assets they brought into the marriage. Molly was forced to quit because none of the employees at the firm respected her. She became a housewife. The only thing more boring than her days were the nights when she had to submit by having sex with Sutter. Oh, she really spoiled herself with clothes, jewelry, trips, cars, fancy dinners, but none of this actually made her happier. Life with Sutter became a test of endurance, and she didn't last long. 12 months after their wedding, Sutter returned home in the middle of the workday to find her in their bed with one of his firm's junior lawyers. He immediately kicked her out and fired the lawyer on the spot. Divorce followed quickly, and the last time anyone heard from her, she had moved east and was trying to start a new life. In her new life, she had enough money after paying living expenses to go out to dinner or have a bachelorette party every now and then, but she found herself feeling more joy in this life than she ever came close to with Sutter. She still missed and loved Dave, but she finally realized the disaster she had brought upon her life by losing the only person she considered her soulmate for the short-term possession of a few pieces of jewelry and nice clothes. Perhaps she truly began to understand that the good life is not just about money. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.